Hi, welcome to Carolina Crafting. I'm Jackie Jentz. Today we'll be going over to Asheville, North Carolina, along the beautiful Nantahala River to visit Dorothy Guzzo. Dorothy makes handmade papers from items found around her yard or her kitchen. There's never a dull moment with Dorothy when she shows us how she uses her car as a hydraulic press to rid the paper of excess water. Remember folks, if you're trying this at home, look out for small children and dogs. Dorothy's a professional. Dorothy, we're going to make paper today, but first tell us all the different steps we go through to make the paper.
Okay, well there's kind of two different ways of making paper. What I'm going to do is probably the easiest. All you really need is a blender.
We all have blenders.
And a kitty litter pan. You need that. But it's basically recycling everything from your daily newspaper to shiny sheet material that comes in from your Target ads from the Sunday paper. So we're going to use a lot of that as a base material. They call it linter. You can buy it commercially or you can find it. It's basically the same stuff that tissue paper is made out of. So after you soak it out and after you see it, it kind of looks like oatmeal. When you get that oatmeal kind of look, that's what you're going to use. So it's real simple and it's easy and it's fun. Sometimes gets a little messy.
It's good for the environment.
Good for the environment, and you can make things with it. All right, this is a natural product. This is daylily leaves that I'm sure everyone has around at this time of year. It makes a good paper. However, when you're through cutting and processing and actually making the paper comes out this color. So you've got kind of a grayish brown, nasty looking paper. It's very artsy. You can do a lot of things with it, but it's not pretty to write on or use as a background on other things. So it's readily available. It's a good product to start with, or you can mix it with your paper linter, and that becomes very effective. That works out well. But anytime you use something like this, it has to be boiled down in water and soda. And when I first came to town, you could find this everywhere. Then you couldn't find it at all. Now you can find it everywhere again. And the washing soda is sodium carbonate. And if you can't find this on your shelves, call a local chemical company. They will sell it by the pound. It comes like in a 20-pound bag, and it's $4, $5, something like that. It's very inexpensive. So, but you will need this to break down the fibers if you're using something natural like the daylily. Also, when I'm using natural products, I like to use corn husks, which work out really well. And these are the ones you just get in a little package in a Mexican section in the store for your tortillas. These boil up very nicely. The water turns a bright yellow from the carbonate in there. And when they process out, this is what it looks like. You've got nice long fibers. I happened to boil up some of the corn husks, and I was using also some Mexican peppers. So there will be some seeds in here as well. And that will all incorporate into your paper. But it's a nice twirly-whirly thing, very effective. If you're going to use paper, which when you're finished will look like this, you could use it as a recipe card. You could put a card on for tamales or something that you cook like in a Mexican style, and use it as a background paper for your framing. Paper by the river is because you need an awful lot of water to make paper, and then you have to wring it all out, but still. Now, this is called a decal and frame, and it comes in two pieces. Basically, what you're doing, you're cooching, I love that word, you're cooching the material onto your frame, taking the top off, and then putting it onto your basic linter background. So this goes on top. Get your hands right in there. You've processed your paper to the point where it kind of looks like oatmeal. And it's a lot easier if you're doing this if you use warm water. Whoops! Okay. It's easier on your hands than ice cold water. I'm just pulling some off the edges, draining out a little bit of water. It's water messy. It's not messy. And I'm going to take another piece. This is Pelham or fusing that I'm using on that. And you cooch. Isn't that just fun? And then you just pull your decal right off. And that basically is going to be your paper. Right now it's really, really wet, and we're going to get all the moisture out of it in a minute. You put another piece on there and go back to doing more paper. Slide it in, shmoo it around. I'm not sure if there's another word for that. And some of it's going to be more thin, more thick than others. That's just the way it is. And you don't want too many pieces hanging out over the edge because that will ruin your decal edge on your paper. Pull that off. Try and drain out some of the moisture. Take it back. Roll it down. You see a lot of moisture coming out of it. The more you do, the easier it becomes. The first or second sheet may not be too good, but by the third or fourth, it just seems that the bulge in the paper helps it get to where it's supposed to be. Okay, now we're going to put it under the car. And then, but you need lots of we've got to absorb a lot of water. So, you figure out where the wheel of your car is. And that's like a good place right there. So I know I have to back up probably a foot. See? And then you put that right like that, because you know that's going to be in the middle. Try to get out of the way. And then you back up. Okay. Now that's about as good as a hydraulic press is for getting all that water out, see? And it works. Then you can go bake bread or throw in a load of laundry. Sometimes we used to do it overnight, sometimes just an hour, sometimes just a few minutes is all you really need to get the water out. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to go hang up my clothes. What do you think, buddy? Was that fun or what?
That is so cool.
Well, there's really no other way to do it. You just take these little bad boys here, and you just set them out to dry. That's it.
After our visit with Dorothy, it's back to my studio where I make a project using some of the papers that Dorothy's made. After we went to Dorothy's yesterday, I got really inspired with the papers she had. First, this is the paper Dorothy made. It turned out really nice, a little crumpled, but put it under some heavy books. It'll straighten right out again. But I'm not going to use that. What I got inspired with was the papers that she did with spices and herbs. This one is chili peppers, this one's corn, and this one's dill. Well, I could decide which one to use, but I decided that my brother has this really great salsa recipe, and I thought I'd make him a gift for his birthday. So I chose the chili pepper paper. I'm going to take the chili pepper paper measure. I took a cheap frame, dollar store, measured it out, and I'm just going to tear the top of it to fit. And then I'm going to cut it. Okay, it fits. I'm going to let it fit in kind of tight right now. I'll go back and change that. That fits. Okay. Then I went on the computer, took my brother's famous salsa recipe, and I ran it off small size, which I'm going to cut down 2 size. To do something like this is really neat for gifts. My brother's been bragging about his salsa recipe forever, so I thought if he had a copy of it, he would can probably show it off, as he's always bragging. That stuff is hot, really hot. Okay, so I have Hoppy's Texas salsa. My brother lives in Texas. So now I have another element. Then I have some fabric laying around, chili peppers. That could work as a background. Then, of course, you have to have something to frame that. You just can't have 2 browns without some color. So I took this piece of cardstock, and I'm just ripping, and of course you rip it towards you to get the really neat feathered edge. I'm going to try to make it to fit in there. There we go. I'm going to do it this way, away from me, so you can see it. There we go. Okay, I've got my contrasting paper torn. I'm going to lay it down on top of my paper. I'm going to lay this piece of fabric down, just see maybe where I want it. I'm not sure yet. You have to look at it. And then, of course, I'll center up my brother's famous salsa recipe. Now that I've decided that this is what I want, I'm going to glue it down so it'll be permanent. And, of course, we just use a glue stick. It's going to be under glass, so it's not going to have a lot of problems with moisture. And be sure to get the torn side that you've torn towards you on the outside. I almost made a mistake there. The pretty side needs to be showing. So just put a big bunch of glue, center it where you want it, and we'll take the fabric. And once again, it's going to be pressed under glass, so it doesn't matter that this glue might not stick to the fabric as well. Put it down where you want it. Press it down, and then the recipe, make sure it's right side up. Edges not sticking as well. Okay, make sure you get it right side up. Center it. Press it down. There. Now that I have it where I think I want it, I'm going to put the glass in. Put the picture in. Make sure you turn it right side up and look at it. You want to make sure it's what you want. It's not upside down. Okay, one of the things I like to do with all my artwork, I like to sign it, and I like my brother to remember that I made it for him. So I'm going to sign and date it up high enough that he can see it. I always sign it Jax, J-A-X, and this is 2008, so I'll just put 08 on it. Okay, put it back in the frame. Look at it one more time. Looks good. And put the backing on it. Fold the little holders down, and there. My brother's birthday present. Happy birthday, Hoppy.